name is Erica Ramirez. I'm a journalism and professional writing major at UMass Lowell. Today, we will be discussing Colin Kaepernick kneeling in protest during the national anthem. If Kaepernick beaten a woman instead of kneeled during the national anthem, he would still be in the NFL. It is football season again. That means pigskin, chicken wings, and a lot of cheering. That also means another year of controversial kneeling during the anthem and confusing outlooks on the matter. Many well-known people have different beliefs on the protest, and it all began with Colin Kaepernick. Kaepernick started kneeling during the anthem back in 2016 to protest the oppression of Black people in America, such as police brutality. He created such an uproar when people started noticing. Many assumed he was being disrespectful to the flag and U.S. troops. Others understood his stance and supported his protest.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people that are being oppressed. To me, this is something that has to change, and when there's significant change and I feel like that flag represents what it's supposed to represent and this country is representing people the way that it's supposed to, I'll stand. There's a lot of things that need to change. One specifically is police brutality. There's people being murdered unjustly and not being held accountable. Cops are getting paid leave for killing people. That's not right. That's not right by anyone's standards.
To understand America's systemic racism and how it has been transformed to the new Jim Crow. In Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow, she explains the history of America's racism. During the 1960s, laws of segregation were put into place to oppress people of color. Although the laws have changed, systemic racism has morphed into something different. There has been mass incarcerations in America of Black people and people of color. These people would get locked up for life for petty crimes such as possession of marijuana or even just being somewhere at the wrong place at the wrong time. Some Black people get accused of crimes they did not even commit, and yet they are put into prison because their color is considered a weapon. This mass incarceration, Alexander says, is the new Jim Crow in the age of colorblindness and disenfranchises them. You are now branded a drug felon. You are no longer eligible for food stamps. You may be discriminated against in employment. You cannot vote for at least 12 years. Throughout the book, Alexander strengthens her argument on the continuous systemic racism in America. Kaepernick began his protest by sitting in 2016, then conversated a different method with Army Special Forces veteran Nate Boyer. Kaepernick was asked how he views the flag since so many people see it as a symbol of the military, and he responded.
I have great respect for men and women that have fought for this country. I have family, I have friends that have gone and fought for this country. And they fight for freedom. They fight for the people. They fight for liberty and justice for everyone. And that's not happening. I mean, people are dying in vain because this country isn't holding their end of the bargain up as far as, giving freedom and justice and liberty to everybody. It's something that's not happening. And I've seen videos. I've seen circumstances where men and women that have been in the military have come back and been treated unjustly by the country they fought for and have been murdered by the country they fought for on our land. That's not right.
Kaepernick respects military men and women and even discussed a different way of protesting. He thought about a strategy to use his body as a symbol for his protest. In social movements term, that is called body rhetoric, meaning using one's body to act as a site of social change. To go further into detail, Kaepernick is using embodied argumentation, which is a form of body rhetoric. Embodied argumentation requires more than just traditional speech and empowers both the figure and the cause. In this case, Kaepernick uses his body to protest instead of speaking, and in doing so, he is empowering himself and the cause. He does this without being disruptive and acknowledges little things such as traditionally having to stand during the national anthem. So, now that we have covered the history and Kaepernick's initial protesting, let us look at some of the responses from officials, football players, and celebrities. Barack Obama, the president at the time of the initial protest, defended Kaepernick and his belief.
I believe that us honoring our flag and our anthem is part of what binds us together as a nation. And I think that for me, for my family, for those who work in the White House, we recognize what it means to us, but also what it means to the men and women who are fighting on our behalf. But I'm also always trying to remind folks that part of what makes this country special is that we respect people's rights to have a different opinion and to make different decisions about how they want to express their concerns. And the test of our fidelity to our Constitution, to freedom of speech, to our Bill of Rights, is not when it's easy, but when it's hard. As this debate surfaces, we're always reminding ourselves that in a democracy like ours, there are going to be a lot of folks who do stuff that we just don't agree with. But as long as they're doing it within the law, then we can voice our opinion objecting to it, but it's also their right. But I also want people to think about the pain that he may be expressing about somebody who's lost a loved one that they think was unfairly shot. And you know, one of the things I always say about American democracy is it can be frustrating, but it's the best system we got.
Trump had a lot to say about the kneeling when he became president. He considered himself anti-Kaepernick. Instead of focusing on other important aspects of his job, such as the Puerto Rico crisis, Trump decided to tweet about the NFL kneeling and how much he hates it.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired! When people like yourselves turn on television and you see those people taking the knee when they're playing our great national anthem, the only thing you could do better is if you see it, even if it's one player, leave the stadium. I guarantee things will stop.
These important figures had very different opinions on the matter, yet most NFL football players supported Kaepernick and even kneeled with him from different teams. There were many high school football teams that supported the protest and kneeled during their games. Even national anthem singers kneeled when singing the national anthem. Through all the controversy, NFL made a decision in May of 2018 to fine any players who kneel during the national anthem. This fired up an uproar of responses from celebrities such as Jim Jeffries, Michael Moore, Van Lathan, and Natasha Rothwell. Kaepernick's silent and nonviolent resistance is quite extraordinary. It captured a lot of how Americans view the problems their country has been facing. Some seem to understand it as football players should not get mixed up in politics, and others see it as a powerful way to capture systematic oppression. Now in 2018, Kaepernick stays silent since he has been unemployed. He accused the NFL from keeping him out of a job, but he has made some carefully staged public appearances to keep his image and message going.
People sometimes forget that love is at the root of our resistance. My love for my people serves as the fuel that motivates me and fortifies me on my mission. It is the people's unbroken love for themselves that motivates me even when faced with dehumanizing norms of a system that can lead to the loss of one's life over simply being Black. History has proven that there has never been a period in the history of America where anti-Blackness has not been an ever-present terror. Racialized oppression and dehumanization are woven into the very fabric of our nation, the effects of which can be seen in the lawful lynchings of Black and brown people by the police, and the mass incarceration of Black and brown lives in the prison industrial complex. While America bills itself as the land of the free, the receipts show that the US has incarcerated approximately 2.2 million people, the largest prison population in the history of humankind. As police officers continue to terrorize Black and brown communities, abusing their power, and then hiding behind their blue wall of silence, the laws that allow them to kill us with virtual impunity, I have realized that our love, that sometimes manifests itself as Black rage, is a beautiful form of defiance against the system that seeks to suppress our humanity, a system that wants us to hate ourselves. But I remind you, it is love that is at the root of our resistance.
Although the NFL threatened any players that kneel during the anthem, they still kneel and continue the protest without Kaepernick. The NFL is a business that craves viewers' ratings than important conversations such as the oppression of black people. Be reminded of the NFL's morals when it comes to who can play the game or not. Like I said in the beginning, the NFL will allow abusers to play, but not someone who kneels for the oppression of black people and their rights. Kaepernick bravely chose to use his platform and his voice for those who have the same beliefs but have no voice. He chose to protest on national television because he knew millions of people would be watching. He understood that viewers would see his protests and spark conversations. He risked the game he loved to play for the rights he believed many people were stripped away from. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.